Hey everybody, it's Danny. Um, I bought this Peavey T20 bass. Um, I don't know, 6 months or so ago. It was after I'd bought that T25 guitar, and I knew they'd made basses about the same time. So I got online and started looking, and I found this one. It's got a case. Like a lot of the cases, all of the padding is gone on the inside, but they're really kind of cool molded plastic cases. This just has a single pickup, kind of an angled little job here with the thumb rest. Everything works okay on this guitar. I'm not real sure about the setup, and I'm sure it could use a little fretwork. I have no idea how old these strings are. So I'm going to record a little bit of sound off of the strings, and then when I put some new strings on it, we'll compare it and see if there's any difference. Um, I'm not much of a bass player, I can tell you that. I actually used to know a few songs on bass, and it's been so long since I've played one. I'm kind of at a loss. I can also tell you I'm playing through a really tiny little Fender Rumble 15. Got an SM57 mic'd up on it. We'll see. We'll see what it sounds like. So one of the challenges on this is that I don't have a notch straight edge that will fit a bass scale. Um, so I have no way to check that other than popping the strings, and I can tell you right now there's a lot of relief on that neck. So we're going to need a truss rod adjustment before we do just about anything. All right. Challenge number 2 is that is not a hex head truss rod. And my little truss rod tool is not deep enough to reach in there. So I'm going to go find some deep well sockets and see what we can do. All right, thought I hit record a second ago, and apparently I didn't. I ended up using a short 8mm socket that had a fairly narrow wall with the wobbly extension. About the only way I could get in there. It's supposed to be 5/16, but I couldn't get a 5/16 in there, so 8mm is pretty close. I gave it just a little bit more back bow to get rid of some of that relief. I left a little. I think basses play better with just a little bit of relief. Took the strings off. Said I have no idea how old they are, but they look pretty old, and I know even though bass strings don't look like they go bad, they still deteriorate over time. Starts to cause problems with tuning stability, and the tone can deteriorate a little bit. Decided I would look under this pick guard while I had the strings off. They put plenty of screws in this pick guard. No chance of it going anywhere. I think there's 13 screws in here. That is a fairly interesting looking pickup there. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that. Full size pots, no switch obviously. That really looks like a resistor between the volume and the tone as opposed to a capacitor. I'll have to investigate that some, see what Peavey used. They had some interesting circuitry. That T25 guitar had some interesting circuitry. Oh, there's a capacitor right there on the output jack. Very interesting. Doesn't look like there's any shielding anywhere. Not on the back of the pick guard. Not on the back of the cavity. If we have too much trouble with noise, it might be something I look at a little later. Pretty fascinated with that pickup though. Now, see my arm there? I got in a fight with the washing machine. Trying to change a drain pump and had to reach up in there, and there were apparently some sharp edges. These frets are definitely showing a little wear up on that end. Not much down here. All right, I got the frets in pretty good shape. The edges cleaned up. They were a little sharp. Put some strings on here. Start trying to get it set up. Got some Black Beauties. I just had these as backup for another guitar, so I'm gonna put them on here and see how they look with these black coated strings. All right, I got the strings on here. Trying to get the action set. The saddles look pretty good. This guitar has a micro tilt adjustment on it, but I don't think it's going to need it. I'm going to be able to get the action where I want it without extending too far on the saddles. I don't know. Where does everybody like their bass set? I usually set my electric guitars up a little low, but I know that's not gonna be as good on a bass. Maybe about 2 millimeters on the bass side. And I already tell you a problem I'm gonna have that I'll show you here in just a minute. And I also want to tell you that if you do mini guitar setups at all, and you don't have one of these digital string height gauges, you got to get one. That whole eyeballing things with that little string height gauge and ruler is just nothing compared to what you can do with this. Not only can you get the action set right, you kind of know your strings are following the curvature of the neck, which is always much harder to do with those little ruler gauges. So 2 on the bass side. I don't know, maybe between 1.5 and 1.75 on the, yeah, I think that's going to work pretty well. So let's show you the problem here. There is almost no room at that first fret. That nut, I don't know if it's just worn out over time. The slots were cut too deep. These strings are the same gauge, so I don't think that's the issue, but it's not tall enough. It's a fairly wide nut, so I'm having trouble finding one to replace it with, but I think I've got one on the way. So I went ahead and took this nut out just to see what I was working with. It's a 43 millimeter nut. It's curved. So I've got one ordered. I think in the meantime, I'm going to pop a little shim down here just so I can get this set up and see how it plays, and then I'll replace the nut when I get the new one in. All right. So I ordered the new nut from Amazon. It was supposed to be in today. I just got a message. Sorry, your delivery is running late. So So I went ahead, I just cut a piece of a business card to put under this nut, and now the nut height is just about right. I will replace the nut once it comes in, but it's pretty much dead on right now, so if I didn't tell anybody, they'd probably never know. I also realized I've got a little bit of noise on one of these pots. Probably should have cleaned it with some contact cleaner while I had it apart. Now it's not doing it, so maybe it's not that big a deal. I don't know, man. It plays really well. The frets feel really good. The relief is dead on where I like it. String height is good. I ended up at 2 millimeters on the bass side and about 1.5 millimeters on the high side. Sounds pretty good. I leveled the pickup out and dropped it down just a little bit. It was pretty close to the strings. I don't think it really needed to be that high. Yeah, one of these days I'll remember how to play bass again. What do you think about the black strings on there? I think it looks pretty good. I really like those black beauties. I've got 3 bass guitars. I've got a Squire Classic Vibe jazz bass. Really a nice guitar. It was on super cheap sale back a year or so ago. And I've got black beauties on it. And then I've got one of those cheap, I don't know, maybe it's in like an Ibanez style, made in China. They sell for about $100 on eBay and Amazon. It's a solid white guitar, and it's got the single coil pickup and then that split coil pickup. I added a an active tone control on that guitar, so it's got a 9-volt battery, and you've got a treble booster cut, and a bass booster cut. I don't think this guitar needs any of that. Said it's got that treble bleed circuit in it. As long as I'm touching something, there's not a lot of hum on here, which is pretty cool for a single coil. This guitar is only, I just think it's a little over 9 pounds. I don't remember. I'll have to look. These Peaveys were kind of notorious for being heavy, but this one's really, for as beefy a guitar as it is, it's really not that heavy. It's got these massive open tuners on it. It's got the micro tilt adjustment on the neck if you need it. It's a shame they quit making these, because they were really cool guitars. I'm glad I was able to find one and get it. Maybe it'll inspire me to want to learn how to play bass again. Hope you guys have a good day. Bye-bye.